Hey everybody, this is Fred here with Better Business Mogul, and today I want to teach you guys how to create a good schedule, at least a functional schedule. I think a lot of the problem is that people know how to make schedules in their mind, but they have a lot of problems putting it on paper. And putting it on paper is really another form of making it happen for yourself, because most of the time we forget things. You know, with the way life is, you get a lot of distractions. And so when you think about things and you plan out things that you do in your head, it's just really often more helpful to have it written down on paper so that when life is stressing you or you're distracted, you're able to get back in focus without wasting too much time. So without anything further ado, I'm going to show you a sample weekly schedule. And so this is kind of my sample weekly schedule, if I were to make a weekly schedule. So as you can see, I have it broken out from Monday through Sunday. I have the times broken out from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. I'm going to use an example for myself. So for myself, I work Monday through Friday. So when I work Monday through Friday, my schedule is 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So you've seen that I've broken all of this out with work. I color coordinate my weekly schedule because it makes it easier for me to really focus, and it helps my mind unconsciously categorize, what am I doing for my business and what am I doing for personal. And I think it's really useful because of the fact that it kind of prepares your mindset as you go into your activity. So we've done red for business, yellow for work, blue for obligations, and green for fun. I would highly encourage that when you guys do a weekly schedule like this, the first thing to do is to really put in all your obligations, whether it's work, family obligations, church obligations, errands that you have to do. If you have kids, you pick them up. All these things, anything that you do every single day, you need to break it all down and you need to put it into all these places. Now, using Excel is very, very easy. You create, for instance, I'm just going to do, let's say, pick up kids, right? So you type in whatever you want in Excel, and when you go over the cell, you just press Control-C, you can copy it, and you can paste it wherever you want. So if I were to do this, Monday through Wednesday like this, I can paste it out like this. And I wanted to highlight it as a obligation, then I go up here to the fill color. I change the fill color to the matching color that I'm going to use. For instance, we're going to use this blue to match the obligations key, right? Boom. So there you go. I just created my obligations. But obviously, I don't have kids, so we're not going to do that. I just change it back to no fill, and then I just remove all these things. Very simple, right? Now, one question that I'm probably going to get asked, so I want to answer it right now, is when you type something in really long, like I type this on Thursdays from 4 to 6, I meet with a business plan project manager to work on a business plan for a business that I'm trying to run. If you type in something really, really long, how do you get Excel to expand the cell like this? Well, very simply put, all you have to do is type in whatever you want. So for instance, let's go church, small group. Actually, you know what? Let's do it on another cell. So let's just go Monday, church, small group, meeting, whatever, right? You see how it automatically wraps the cell like that? So what I did was I highlighted all these cells right here. I right-click the cell, and you can do this with a single cell or highlighted cells, whatever you want. You go to Format Cells, and you go to this right here, Wrap Text. So when you check this box off for Wrap Text, what Excel will automatically do is if it's bigger than one line, it's going to automatically increase the spacing on this, right? So we're not going to deal with that because I don't have that small group meeting on Monday. So let's delete that. So that's kind of a basic rundown of how we color coordinate and how we expand cells. That's just a basic Excel tutorial. But we're going to jump ahead to actually the meat of this video, and it's really, now that I've gone through and put in all my personal and life obligations, and I gotta say, when you're making a schedule together, it's really, really important that you schedule in personal time. Whether it's date night with my wife, or whether it's date night with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, or you want to schedule in a 1-hour break, that's okay. That's totally fine. I think it's very, very important that you must schedule it in, because for some people, at least for me, if I do something, if I follow a schedule, if I don't schedule in a break, I'm going to not take the break. I'm just going to work right through it. So it's very, very important that you have fun with this business, with your business, sorry, as well as really focus on your activities when it's time to focus on those activities. Okay, with all those caveats out of the way, let's talk about how we schedule our business activities into our weekly schedule. So I've kind of made it easy for everybody. There's only 3 really activities that we consider as result producing activities, and that is retailing, recruiting, and follow-up. If you do any of those activities, those are counted as result producing activities. In terms of mindset, it's always attitude, knowledge, goals. So this includes education. Now, why are attitude, knowledge, and goals not considered action activities? Because they don't produce any actions. They may create action, they may be the precursor to action, but they don't actually create any results. Does that make sense? It's almost like saying, you know, if you were to own Facebook, the fact that Mark Zuckerberg thought about making Facebook and thought about creating Facebook and thought about this elaborate vision of Facebook doesn't mean that the program code automatically wrote itself. He had to sit down and take actionable steps and spend time to write that code out. So education, mindset, and goals have nothing to do with result producing activity. So that therefore they do not count towards result producing activity hours. And I can honestly say, for your network marketing business, you have to invest at least 12 to 15 result producing hours a week if you want to get significant results as quickly as possible. Okay? And education hours, honestly, are no limit, because it should be as many education hours as you can invest, because we're always about improving ourselves. Self-improvement is one of the major pillars of being an entrepreneur, and if you do not invest the time to self-improve, your progress will be much slower than somebody else who invests that time into it. Alright, so all that spiel is out of the way. So let's get down to business. So we focus on retailing, recruiting, and follow-up. So you can see right here that I've already put Monday at 8 o'clock. So for my team, we always have a weekly conference call Monday night at 8 o'clock. So that's a result-producing activity. You know, we are training the team. We're talking about subjects like this, such as how to build a weekly schedule, how to recruit, how to retail. So these things are important as a leader. Now, if you were to start the business, maybe like last week, or you're brand new in the business, that, you know, you leading a team call may not necessarily be on the plate. But let's say, for instance, we want to retail, right? So we want to schedule out a time. So let's talk about, this is in relation to your goals. So if your goals have said that I wish to make, let's say, $1,500 a month, I would tell you that you need to invest about 12 productive hours in the business. So we're going to put 12 right here. Education, let's just say, for instance, that you have made a commitment to do 10 educational hours a week. Okay? So for your business, you're actually investing about 22 hours a week. Okay? But actually, in terms of result producing activities, you're only investing 12. Again, like I said, you know, it's really how bad you want it and how quick you want it. But this is purely for example, so don't take this literally. This is just an example to show you how to build an effective weekly schedule. So we're going to block out, let's say, a Wednesday night from 6 to 9. We are going to do a product preview. Okay? So the way it works is that we're going to type in product preview. So it's a trunk show, product preview, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you're going to spend 3 hours once a week doing a event. Okay, oops, sorry, wrong fill. Let's go with red. Alright, so we're going to do a product preview here every Wednesday. Okay, so that takes care of 3 hours. Monday, because I'm going to get off work at 2:30, I'm going to spend 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. I'm going to call prospects from last week. So what does that mean? That means that I'm going to call the names that I collected from the week before. You know, whether I bought a list or whether I collected them from my daily errands or whatever I did, I'm going to spend 2 hours. Oops, sorry. I'm going to spend 2 hours prospecting. I mean, calling my prospects. So I'm going to call them. I'm either going to build a relationship, invite them to my event on Wednesday, or I'm going to follow up if I've shown them the web portal or I've shown them the business. Okay? So now we got 5 hours. So on Tuesday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to block off 6 to 8. I'm going to show plan, or actually we're going to call it expose business. So I'm going to spend 2 hours every week exposing the business to prospects. How am I going to do that? Well, very simply, I'm going to call my prospects first and see if they're interested. And if they're interested, I'm going to book them for an appointment to expose the business. Whether it's exposing the web portal or exposing the actual compensation plan or exposing some of our products, whatever it is, that's what I'm going to schedule. And in those appointments, my goal is to bring them to the product preview so they can get more information, right? And okay, so where are we at? So we got 3 hours here, we got 2 hours here, we got 2 hours here, so we're at 7 hours already. Okay, and on Thursday, I'm going from 8 to 9, I'm going to conduct a business presentation. I don't want to expand this cell, so I'm just going to put biz presentation. Okay. Oops. Alright, so we're going to highlight these cells and blow this out. Okay. So now we're up to 9. So this business presentation I'm going to do for 2 hours. I'm basically no frills. I'm going to show and expose the business plan. Alright. So this is different. This business presentation is different from exposing the business because I can expose a whole bunch of introductory things. Alright. This is kind of like a teaser. Okay. This is the actual meat, the actual compensation plan. So again, what I'm doing is it's almost like preparatory work, right? I'm spending Monday and Tuesday really doing a lot of introduction work. And my goal is to get my prospects to Wednesday's event or Thursday's event. So you see how this is a progression, right? Alright, so now we got 3 hours here, 5, 7, 9. We're up to 9 hours, okay? So how do we break down our last 3 hours? Well, we covered retailing, okay? We covered recruiting, we covered follow-up, but what we haven't covered is prospecting, right? So what we're going to do is, let's say from Saturday, from 1 to 4, we're going to do prospecting. So what does that mean? So we're going to call this build inventory. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm just going to call this prospecting. So we're going to break this out. So what does prospecting mean? Prospecting means that you are actually going to go and physically collect some names. Okay, whether it's you're going to go out and you're gonna go out to a crowd, a big event or a festival or whatever. You're just gonna go talk to some people. Okay, I think a lot of us, we get really caught up in our daily routines, and honestly, I can tell you, for everybody that as long as you have a daily routine, you have an opportunity to collect names. And really, the names are our inventory in this business. There's just no frills around it. There's no sugar-coated way to say it. If you don't have names, you don't have inventory. Collecting a name doesn't mean that you have to necessarily talk to them, but if you're not in the habit of collecting names, you're never going to do it. So this is kind of an activity to prime you. You should really be doing it throughout your day, every single day. But, if you're the kind of person that feels really shy or you're kind of an introvert, then force yourself to spend some time building the business by collecting names, okay? So Saturday we're going to spend 3 hours collecting names, okay? Whether it's going to the grocery store, whatever it is that we're going to do, we're going to collect names. So with that, check out what we've done. So we've got 3 hours here, 2, 2, 2, so 3, 5, 7, 9, and then our last 3 hours here. So we've actually hit our 12-hour goal in a week, right? And we didn't even touch Sunday yet, you know, and we still have a personal day on Friday. So essentially, this is a 5-day work week. You know, just like your this is a business where you really determine how much time you wish to invest in this business. But I'm telling you, you can invest as much or as little time as possible. If you want to group all these activities into 3 days, you can. But determine how you want to space this out. For me, I'm going to do 5 days. So that's 12 hours. So now let's talk about how we feed our mind. Okay? So one thing I'm going to do is, so from 10 to 11, I'm going to listen to audios. We have pre-recorded audios for our business. I'm going to do this Monday through Friday. Alright, so let's do orange for education, okay? So we're going to spend 5 hours listening to audios every day for Monday through Friday, okay? For some of you guys who don't have this hour every night, you can make it in your lunch hour, right? Because if you work, you have a lunch hour. Spend it wisely, okay? So now I got 5 hours right here. And then what we're going to do is let's say in your area there's a business presentation from 8 to 10 on Tuesday. Well, you can put in what we call a UBP, or unfranchised business presentation. So now this is kind of like a gray area. If you bring a guest to a UBP or unfranchised business presentation, then yeah, it counts as a result producing activity, so that actually becomes red. But if you're going to go by yourself just because you want to learn how other six-figure income earners are teaching how they expose the business, then it's an educational event for yourself. So that's 2 hours right there. Okay, so now we're up to 7. So let's say let's say I'm going to go to bed at 11 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 15 minutes reading my goals at the end of every night. Okay? So I'm going to write goals, or let's do read goals, 15 minutes. We're going to do this every single day. Alright? Because honestly, you should be feeding your mind every single day. And it's really important for education. So what do we got? We got about an hour. We got about an hour and 3/4 right here. We got almost 2 hours. Okay? So we got 7, we got almost 2 hours. So we're actually at 9 3/4 hours. Alright? And then just to cap off the 10 hours, since this is a training exercise, I'm going to say we're going to read career manual. Okay? Every business has a career manual. You should at least read 1 page a day. But let's just say we're going to spend 15 minutes reading the career manual once a week. Okay? So now I've basically gotten to my goal of 10 education hours and 12 business building hours, or result producing hours. Alright? Now for anybody, it can really be a combination of however you want. It can be as little as you want or as much as you want. If you have more time, do more. If you have less time, do less. But you can see that once I put in all my obligations throughout the week, I still have lots of gaps right here. You know, all these gaps I could be doing something else. You know, if I really wanted to grow faster, if I wanted to build faster, I would fill in all these spaces. Obviously, with the way our lives go, things will always pop up, things will always change. So this schedule will not always remain the same. But this is an exercise in learning how to effectively create a schedule that you need to follow. Obviously, that is the most important step, right? Writing this down and getting this broken out on a piece of paper is one thing. Really following through and being diligent and disciplined in doing this every single week is very, very important. And you can even make time for this, right? Let's say, for instance, at 9 o'clock, we're going to spend 1 hour every week making a schedule, right? And we'll call this, you know, it can be a business time for you, but I really attribute it as a personal time. It's really an obligation. Oh, actually, it's the wrong color. Okay. All right. So we're going to spend 1 hour every week doing this, doing exactly all of this right here, making out and planning out our week. Because honestly, on a Sunday night before this week, you should already know what's coming up this week. You should have already booked all your appointments coming up, with the exception of prospect appointments. At least figure out all your obligations in the upcoming week. Plan your schedules a week ahead of time so that you always know what's coming up, so you don't get bombarded by last minute issues. Okay, so with that, I think we are good. You know, we've accomplished all our goals. Obviously, you know, if you guys have a lot of wrapped cells, it's going to go more than one page, which is fine. You know, you can reduce the font. You can shrink it down to one page. My recommendation is to keep it at one page because it's a lot easier to have it in hand than 2 pieces of paper carrying around. Now, what do you do with this? Well, for me, very simply, I print this out and I stick it on my bathroom window. You know, I stick it next to my nightstand, or on my nightstand, sorry. Or I, you know, email it to my phone, and I set a reminder for myself every morning before I get to, you know, before I leave the house to go to work, to read over my schedule. You know, I always make time every day to go over my schedule. It has nothing to do with business. This is just proper organization and time management. Okay, so with that, I think we're pretty much done. For my team, I will upload this sample schedule for you guys to our Facebook group so that you guys will have this and you guys can obviously fill in your obligations and color coordinate or do whatever you want with it. But anyways, I hope that was helpful for you guys, and I hope that kind of shed a little bit more light on how we create effective functional schedules. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to email me at intellectualshopping@gmail.com. All right, take care, guys. Bye.